showed that CBDA, specifically for nausea and anxiety, was 1,000 times more effective than CBD. So yes, you could certainly draw those conclusions that there's a very high likelihood that we'll have another research or some more science having similar results for CBGA versus CBG, because again, we're not decarboxylating, we're not heating, we're not denaturing, we're not removing things from the plant. We're leaving the plant exactly the way it was intended.
Welcome to the Miracle Plant Podcast, the show that inspires, promotes, and gives you a daily dose of inspiration from the people who have used cannabis to change their lives in extraordinary ways. Here's your host, Justin Benton.
Welcome back to the Miracle Plant Podcast, where we discuss this miracle plant with so many names and how it helps people's lives in such extraordinary ways. Today, I got Dan on. We're just going to have a quick little chat. We both have a lot going on in our lives, and we're just squeezing in this podcast here live on Clubhouse. And today I wanted to talk about three things. First off, I wanted to talk a little bit about CBGA. Next, I wanted to talk about our new skincare product that we're releasing. We have a couple skincare products that are coming up, and I wanted to give everyone a little heads up on, since you're our podcast listeners for the Miracle Plant, to give you some insight. And we also have a special webinar that we're doing on Thursdays that I wanted to talk about. So first things first, on the CBGA, I'm sure some of you have heard of CBG, cannabigerol. And it's got a couple of different cool nicknames. One of them is the mother cannabinoid, and the other is, what is that other one called? Do you remember what the other? It's like there's another nickname, Dan.
It's like the other one. Some people refer to it like the stem cell of cannabinoids.
That's it, exactly. And so for me, I like the mother cannabinoid. That makes the most sense. So when the cannabis plant comes out of the ground as a little seedling, first with 2 little leaves and then turns into 4, that whole plant, as it grows into vegetation stage, if you were to go send it in for a lab test results, the cannabinoid that would register the highest would actually be CBGA. The A stands for acidic. That's the natural way, the cannabinoid that the plant makes. And then based on the genetics of the plant, it'll either veer to the left and become THC, or in our country, we call high cannabis THC marijuana, or it can veer to the right based on genetics of the plant and the seed and become high CBD plant or hemp, anything with less than 0.3 THC here. Now, there's genetics that are out there as well that are helping us with keeping the CBG in its natural state, and it doesn't actually veer off of CBGA. It just stays there. So we have some genetics and some plants that we grow out here in Southern California that do just that. And so a lot of people are excited about CBG because it is the mother cannabinoid, and all cannabinoids come from CBG. So they're all a derivative of CBG. So we've grown some great plants out here and done some testing and some research and some just getting feedback from our customers. And we do have a higher strain CBG product that's in our Boost X. And what I've noticed with CBG is it really helps with energy, it really helps with focus, and it even helps with mental clarity, in the top 3 that I've seen. But then again, remember, CBG is just part of the miracle plant, and there's so many other cannabinoids and flavonoids and terpenes and amino acids that really help balance our body out for homeostasis. But that's just a little heads up on the CBG product. Do you have any feedback on that, Dan, as far as CBG or our Boost product?
No, but I had a question. And this goes back to a couple of your previous shows where you've done a deep dive into CBDA.
Yep.
And one of the things that I learned in those interviews was that when it's heated, it changes from CBDA to CBD, or you do a much better job explaining it than I would. I'm wondering if the same thing happens with CBGA.
That's a great question, and it's absolutely the case. So remember, the whole plant, when the whole cannabis plant or the hemp plant, whatever you want to call it, we're dealing with hemp here because we're talking about, trace THC and mostly other cannabinoids that are non-psychoactive, is that the CBGA is the acidic precursor of CBG. And yes, it's whole plant. The molecules are 3-dimensional. It's grown exactly the way Mother Nature intended over millions of years. So yes, the research hasn't come out clearly defined yet, just because CBG is so new. We just haven't had time to do the research. But if you connect the parallels of CBDA, like you said, so raw CBD produced in the cannabis or hemp plant, that the research from Dr. Raphael Mechoulam and some scientists from Canada, they showed that CBDA, specifically for nausea and anxiety, was 1,000 times more effective than CBD. So, yes, you could certainly draw those conclusions that there's a very high likelihood that we'll have another research or some more science having similar results for CBGA versus CBG, because again, we're not decarboxylating, we're not heating, we're not denaturing, we're not removing things from the plant. We're leaving the plant exactly the way it was intended.
I know with the way you do it, to get the whole entourage effect, because there's so much more than just peeling out the isolate and just have just pure CBGA. It's so much more helpful to interact with all the other cannabinoids. And I think that's sometimes lost when you say, hey, this is CBG or CBD. It's so much more important that it's got all of the other friends in there with it to help out with this entourage effect. Right?
Absolutely. And again, remember, so it is the entourage effect. I look at it like a big symphony, and you just want to keep the whole symphony together. And yeah, there might be a good violinist or what have you, but at the end of the day, you want the whole symphony to play together. And that's the way it interacts best with our bodies. When we consume it in the whole plant form, it's the holistic way. And there's lots and lots of research about just general plants and what have you when it comes to consuming them in the whole plant, holistic, cold pressed way. So that is the CBGA product.
You know, one other thing that I have always, been surprised about is that when I was back in teenager, you think about just being on a couch, just eating munchies and not having any energy at all. That was the point, right? This boost is like complete opposite. It clears your mind. You have energy. It's like around 3:00 in the afternoon, sometimes when you're having that little bit of lull, if you take a little bit of this boost, it's, oh, okay, I'm ready. And it's exactly the opposite of what we've been programmed to believe over the years.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing. So the first couple times I took CBG when we were just testing, I noticed real focus, like just a real clarity for me, along with the energy. And I knew right away that people that were struggling with whatever they call ADHD or just a little all over the place and tough to concentrate on doing one task at a time, which I think most entrepreneurs are, so it's very common. But I knew it was going to help people who just needed to stay on task and focused. And so we've gotten a lot of feedback from that. So that's definitely been exciting. So I wanted to touch on that. I know a lot of people are starting to see CBG. We're in the process of working on another cannabinoid product. Again, it's whole plant with us. We're not going to pull out one part and put it in with another part. It's the whole plant that we're using. There's another product that we'll be working on, and we are working on. It's going to be focusing on CBN, which works a lot with helping people get to sleep at night. So we are in the process of that. We do have our new Raw Renew, which I was talking about, our skincare product that is out and been released, and we're really having incredible success hearing from lots of women love it. But we made it for so many people are noticing the anti-aging effects and skin rejuvenation and just really healthy, glowing skin. So do keep an eye out for that. We're going to have some exciting offers and news. So it just came out with a product that is for cold sores. So that one we haven't released yet, but if you want to try it for free, reach out to me. You can hit me up at info@101cbd.org and say you want to try that, and we'll make sure that we get you a sample of that to try.
I have a couple friends that suffer with cold sores. What's the ingredient with that one?
Yeah, it's mostly CBDA,
okay,
like our other products. But it's amazing how well it works. It's a little chapstick and a little roll-on. And so it's amazing the stories that we've seen with that. So I can't wait to hear that. I need to get wrapping up here, everybody, because the church bells are ringing. But I was going to say that last thing to check out as well, and we'll put it in the show notes, is secrethealthoffer.com for that webinar so people can learn more about this amazing miracle plant and getting a chance to try it as well. So again, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dan, for coming in for this shortened version of the Miracle Plant podcast. And check us out in the show notes. And if you have any questions, reach out to us on the website, themiracleplant.org, or shoot an email to me at info@101cbd.org. And yeah, an exciting day for you, Dan, and your daughter, and for me and my son. And I'm glad we got a chance to squeeze all this in for everybody. And we look forward to seeing everybody next week for another exciting episode. And if you do want to see the live recording of the Miracle Plant podcast, we're trying to do it every Saturday, 10 a.m. Pacific on Clubhouse. So thanks again, Dan, for helping out and doing all that you do. And I look forward to seeing everybody who's listening real soon next week.